would still have the ability to fine or remove it, you know, so. I don't know, this is a little bit different, cause I know for a fact that when that resolution got passed, I don't think anybody,
Thought of it.
or if somebody did think about it, it was probably just, you know, never really mentioned, like,
I
the
think
intent wasn't to limit it for a building.
I think everybody was a little hasty about Conex containers, the city was too, we were just like, we're just banning them all together from residential, and then they came out with, man, some of these are actually probably nicer than a shed, to be honest with you, they're, you know, quadruple doors, and they're actually pretty solid. You know, and I mean, we even have city guys going, well, maybe that was it, maybe we jumped to conclusions. I think a lot
That's
of these.
cause the first guys were bringing in some pretty
Yeah.
rough ones.
Yeah, people,
I mean,
no, that's what I'm saying, I think some of these resolutions were done and
Right.
They were buying an old.
they were done in
container
haste,
that
just to make sure that. Maybe all back and tell people, get that out of here.
Bought it $100 for money.
some of them were terrible, like, some
Yeah.
of them were really
Yeah,
bad, so,
no.
you know.
They weren't first trip ones, that wasn't what started this revolution.
You put them on a cement slab and set them on there. I mean, they're ideal.
Yeah, absolutely.
No mice,
Right,
none,
no bugs, nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I struggled to see how they would be any worse than a 50-year-old mobile home that's down in that area.
Yeah.
Not to criticize that, but I'm just saying, if you're starting to say, well, if this is no good, then why is some of this other stuff any good either? So
Well, how do you tax, like, say, I go to Menards or whatever, buy these plastic kits to put up a shed? I noticed some guy when I stopped at a place and he was putting up a plastic shed, it was junk.
Well, plastic sheds generally aren't taxable.
They're not?
Generally not.
Okay.
They're under so much square
Kits,
footage.
yes, anything over 100 square foot is taxable.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no problem if we gotta define the reason at all for a variance.
Joe, if we're good, grant a variance, we breaking the law?
He's gonna be consistent, find good cause to grant the variance.
Well, he's using it more as building material than.
Well, I think since this is, to my knowledge, the first one in the county, at least the first one where they applied for a permit anyway. I mean, they might exist out there, but I've never seen one. I'm not gonna say there isn't one out there somewhere, but I guess I am more inclined to maybe grant a variance with the intent of just seeing if this is something that, you know, cause if this turns out to be really good and it's something that's not a big deal, then maybe our resolution needs to be amended or our ordinances need to be amended. We might be a little strict on some, but fair warning, if it doesn't turn out very good, you're gonna ruin it for everybody else too, cause if this doesn't turn out good, it'll never get granted again, but I don't feel like this is really that outrageous of an idea now that it's gotten explained.
No, I actually like the idea.
I mean, right away, when you read the permit, you don't have any information, it's like, well, they're just gonna stack Conex boxes, it doesn't sound like a great idea, but if the idea is to make it one solid looking building that most people from a distance might not even be able to tell the difference, I think we could probably grant a little leeway on that and just see how it turns out.
And
It would
the key word too is making it a permanent structure.
Well, and that would kind of be the curious part too, that, you
How
know,
high are your sidewalls gonna be? 16? In the
Well,
building?
they're
or 14?
9'6" tall,
9'6" what?
9'6" tall.
Sidewalk?
The walls on the Connex boxes.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna put a 2-foot pony wall
So
on top of the edges, the inside edges, and then build a roof over it.
12 and a half is what it looks like there for the,
So. Well, that's
That's
not
the open, that's the
my
opening.
drawing,
is
that's not
12
my
and a half.
drawing, that's
Oh.
a different drawing, I just wanna give you an
okay.
idea what
Sure.
it was like.
I was gonna say the math wasn't
Peak
right,
is
so yeah,
20
you're,
foot.
So are you gonna have it at a slope so that the water runs off that Conex box, or it's gonna run into your building?
Nope, I'm gonna seal all that along the building, and they'll tip just a slight bit,
So that the
so
water
the water
runs
can run
off?
off, yes. Cause the Connex box is sealed
You can always
altogether,
put gutters on down the road if
So-
you decide you wanna make sure that you
right?
run off to, I guess.
So as long as they're tipped slowly, or slightly,
Yeah.
they'll be able to, run that water off.
Yeah, you sure to have a little water on the inside,
Mhm.
plus you got a good slope on your floor with the drain.
Right?
I don't know, guys,
Well,
I've never dealt with one of
I've
those.
seen it on, TV where they have done that.
right?
DIY, whatever.
Oh, yeah, they'll stack 2 to
Yeah.
4 and make a house out of it.
Yep, I've
Spray
seen
foam.
that also, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know, guys, it's, I've never seen it.
yeah.
It's wobbling,
How do you proceed?
20 foot wide and 8, 16 feet. 36 feet wide. By 40 deep. Single family dwelling, permanent type construction, including all the permanent conditions. It's all gonna be connected. You're gonna put power, everything in them, I'm sure.
Eventually, yes.
Right?
Yep, eventually, yeah.
You've seen this somewhere else evidently, or you.
I've done some research on them, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's workable. I think it will look pretty nice when you come.
I think it will, yeah.
The paint color must be beige, it must not.
If no other buildings are
Huh?
on the property, if there's no other building, yeah, I noticed that too, yeah.
Well, guys, somebody wanna make a motion or what?
Yeah, I would like to do that, I guess, but
You wanna make a
I
motion?
really
You wanna
wasn't,
make restrictions on it, or
yeah, I don't quite know how to
to
state it.
change this?
Well, you'd have to make a motion and in there you'd be granting a variance.
I think because the issue I would have is that the resolution does say limit 1 Connex box per lot, so you're gonna have to jump that hurdle by either granting a variance.
Yeah,
I think the intent should be, if we're gonna grant a variance, that we probably wouldn't approve any other ones until this one is finished and see if it's something.
that's.
I mean, is everybody kind of the opinion, like they're curious how it would turn out? I mean, is that kind of the thought process?
Yeah.
I mean, cause I guess my opinion is if something like this is feasible and it turns out just fine, then I don't know if I'd have a problem with it versus, let's just say, having 5 Conex boxes on someone's lot.
Right.
That's my
Right.
my difference of like the justification of it is using it as a building material, but then the other question is are we only gonna allow 2 per construction then? Like, cause now all of a sudden somebody wants to stack it to make 20-foot sidewalls, now it's like, oh god, like.
4 of them.
And so I think we probably would have to tread carefully as far as how we wanna do this, and if the intent is to grant a variance, we probably don't wanna see 3 building permits next month for it, and be like, well, we gave it for 1, I think we'd almost have to agree, it's like so there's 2 of them
There's
stacked
what
on
they
top, well, that's,
Yeah,
I
We got an
mean,
attorney sitting in here, so he's probably getting educated how he's gonna come after us.
well, I mean, it's tough, because there are gonna be some people upset probably down there.
Oh, yeah.
Because there is a level of people that just don't believe Connex boxes are very valuable.
see there, you see, there he did go all the way out.
See, there he went all the way with the overhang.
Also.
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
I
I
like
mean,
the appearance of that better.
Yeah.
you know,
Because they
actually,
were
I
ties.
do also, but there is a lot of,
Extra expense.
extra
Your
materials.
rafter length.
Yeah,
And sheeting, and shingles or tin, yeah.
a lot more expense to that.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do? Scroll down, there's domes on top of these Conex boxes.
Yeah.
Round domes.
And fabric buildings.
I mean, I hate to say it, they are kind of the wave of the future, that's what everybody wants to go to, cause you can't build for the same cost as what you can get these
Well, you don't.
Conex containers
We
for
also
size
built a
wise.
shed, we also built a shed not too long ago, and that was almost $5,000 just for a wooden shed.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
that's gonna rot and
It
it's
didn't
not,
rot, you can't keep the ice out.
yeah.
Virtually indestructible.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only drawback, though, I'm telling you, the condensation.
I will look into venting those.
Okay, so here's basically very close to what he's looking at,
Right,
Yep.
that one right there.
except for that one was not having the pony.
And you can barely even tell what it is, to be honest with you,
Right.
that they're two Connex containers.
That's where, like I said, where I grew up, they had the milking barn with a lean-to on it, which
Oh,
was
yeah,
just a
like
very,
a
and
cannon barn.
it just continued the one side of the roof, and it was the same color, it had a few windows, had a couple sliding doors. It didn't really look a lot different,
No.
you know, so using it that way, if it's the same color and all that, it's.
I can tax the lean-to.
That's spray foam, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's what Tunis did.
so what did you do, Jim? Or didn't you do anything?
Well, Jim's thinking the same thing I am, he doesn't really have a problem with it, but he wants to know how many phone calls he's gonna get after this meeting, people that don't like it, like, that's where I don't really know, I mean, I'm actually kinda curious if this
You
works
might
out.
get some phone calls before it's finished,
Well,
because it will just be two Connex boxes sitting there till I get.
right, I mean, the problem is that we did go through this process, but I think the intent of that resolution was to prevent people from having 7 multicolored Connex boxes on their lot, that was the
Right,
intent
right.
of it, I don't think a lot of people envisioned there was gonna be a scenario where there'd be building material get used out of it like this, and it's kind of a different deal, but
What is your timeline?
We would like to have it done before this time next year, completed,
Okay,
yeah.
so you're just gonna set them there this year and then build on them?
We'll work on it periodically, yeah, as we can. I still work full-time, so we don't get
Yeah.
out here as often as we'd like
Right.
to, but yes, by this time next year, it should be finished, completed.
I was just wondering about the wind, if you're half done, if the wind comes, you know,
Those do not blow around that easy.
well,
They're
once you
actually
start on the
pretty
roof
heavy.
though,
Right,
if you're half started, and,
now, we'll get her stabilized,
yeah.
so.
I don't have a problem with it really.
Somebody wanna make a motion with amendments or whatever?
no.
No, I don't.
It's gonna be
Leave it up to
blunt,
you.
nobody wants to do it.
Yeah, it will be two Connex boxes sitting there for a while, so.
I wouldn't mind if they'd be on the inside. And your outside wall would be this portion right here, your rafter extended.
Right?
But then you gotta go wider with your building because you have nothing on your inside then of your building. Cause you're narrowing it up so much.
Right?
You're bringing it 16 feet in, and you're going 30 foot total in width, right?
And I do need it a little bit higher because of my pontoon has got a 9-foot door. It's gotta have a 9-foot door at least
To
to
get in,
get in.
then you were gonna put it over at a door, didn't you?
Right.
Yeah.
So there it takes up some space, and then you gotta have
Lose
the
a
header
foot,
across,
yeah.
that's why I put the 2-foot pony walls in.
Right. Well, we'd almost have to tax that as permanent then.
I would say, yeah.
We gotta get it passed first.
First, it's gotta go through the board.
Yeah, no,
I don't know what to say, guys.
I mean, again, like I said, I don't really have a problem with it, space, but one problem that we do have down along Cattail and Beaver Bay is that there seems to be sometimes a lack of follow-through on some of these projects. Yeah, it's the only thing that scares me is that you start doing this and one guy does a really nice job and then the next 3 of them turn out like crap, and then here you have a problem that you gotta go sort out. And that's where my struggle of wanting to improve it, because it could turn out really nice, it could, and it could turn out to be, you know, quite a mess, and then we're going against a resolution that we already passed, trying to keep it clean, so I don't,
And you don't clean it up.
I mean, that's what I'm struggling with, but that being said, the same thing happens with mobile homes and people building their own pole buildings and structures too. There's half-built buildings, there's buildings with weird colors,
Yeah.
there's buildings too close to property lines, there's, you know, the Beaver Bay and Cattail area is a little bit of a mess because it's unregulated, but I also feel like it's actually probably sorting itself out rather than getting worse, cause as these properties are accumulating value, people are investing more in them, they're putting up nicer homes, so some of them problems are solving themselves too, so I understand that this Connex box makes it more reasonable to build, but is that the attitude we wanna have towards some of the more valuable property in the county, is that we wanna be able to make it cheaper to build there?
Probably not.
I mean, I don't know if that's the,
Well, it's not just cheaper, it's more solid.
yeah. Oh, I don't disagree with it, I'm not picking on the idea at all, I'm picking on just the general tone of like, the area is probably wanting to see just more structure, and I feel like maybe allowing this is kind of almost,
Aaron, was there a group that met with the commission when you?
yeah, there was a group of people, it's
From-
mostly from Beaver Bay.
Okay.
You know, but just because it's a cattail bay doesn't mean that the next one's gonna come in at Beaver Bay, and we allowed it at cattail, now we're supposed to allow it at Beaver Bay. And there was a group of people from Beaver Bay that did have problems, and the pictures they presented were worthy, I mean, there were some tough looking boxes that really did look ugly, I mean, they were, they were like mint green with like foreign white writing on it, like, I mean, that's why we were trying to at least get them to be like, you gotta paint them one of like a natural color and trying to organize this a little bit, and so, that's where, I mean, if you go through and allow this structure, and then it's like, you have half a dozen of them down there, does that devalue the properties down there, or are people gonna start, I just don't know, I don't. Because, I mean, if I'm a homeowner down there that doesn't like Connex boxes, and now my neighbor's building one up with 2 Connex boxes as part of the structure, am I gonna be very happy about it too, so.
And I got a new home that I just built out there.
Well, I mean, that's just part of the discussion is, you know, as a board, what we're trying to go through, and so I guess, since everybody's kinda got some indecision, the only other thing to do would advocate for be to do some more research and, you know, because if anything, if you're gonna start entertaining this, maybe rather than a variance, you should almost look at maybe amending the ordinance and going through and having a public hearing process, which would maybe at
Yeah,
least
that
allow
was
people to
my
weigh in.
thought, yeah.
It is a pretty drastic change still, like, I don't have a problem with it on its face, I'd probably build one out at my place, but I'm not next to the river with 45 neighbors either, so.
I have one, but it's right up against the trees north of the house.
Well, that would give anybody that has a problem with it,
I mean, if you really wanna have a process where this guy doesn't have all his neighbors hating his guts forever about it, and everybody mad at the commission, and us never granting another one because we shouldn't have granted that one, and now we have this one now by itself, maybe we should look at amending the ordinance and having a public hearing process. Takes a little more time, but this is a pretty big decision, though, we can't just like,
Yeah, I
be like,
think
well,
so.
we'll let it fly, cause then we're not sticking to what
yeah.
we're trying to do, which is to create more stability, so.
So that's what you probably do.
I mean, at least it grants a public hearing process and at least, cause isn't that the main concern, why we're all sitting here hoping someone else makes a motion?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys keep looking over at me, I'm fine,
Nobody wants to.
I'm just saying, my main concern is we're gonna grant this and Jeff's gonna be happy here, and he's presented a nice case, and I'm not picking on anything, but, and then I get 17 angry calls, and then we're meeting next month, cause we're like, well, maybe we should deny it now, like, maybe we should go through a process of amending it and amend it so we don't change the resolution so much, or we don't, you know, but we allow it to be, maybe we allow a limit of 2 on a property for the use of building, or we somehow you amend it,
Yeah.
and then that at least there's an item H under there that would kind of supersede some of this other stuff, if you were gonna use it to build a building. And then like Chairman Lettieri's idea of maybe making it so that the eaves go past it or so, if that makes you feel more comfortable, and
I think it would look better,
if that's not feasible to do,
because
then
now
this
it's
should,
tied into that structure.
right, and if it's not feasible to do it, then maybe that, you don't grant it as a building structure. If that's the only way that we feel comfortable making it work, then that's what you do as a board, and maybe that's what the public hearing would bring out, that they're fine with it, but they don't want it to be the endpoints, they want it to be covered, and maybe that's.
But
what you
then
want.
you've gotta go with the higher sidewalls.
A little bit.
If you bring that, and you bring your building, your Connex boxes inward.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Depending on how you peek it,
Go up just a little
you
higher,
could still
so
probably
can
get your
just
bigger
miss
12-foot
that.
door in there.
Yeah, I changed
Could leave it like it is,
the
just bring
rafter.
the 2 distances up off the outside.
I think we should just,
Well,
at this point,
all I can say is, for a fact, is I think we might even have a special meeting on that resolution, or if not, we did have a pretty significant part of the agenda set up for it, and it was like a public hearing, and we went through this process, and
Did you?
there was probably a dozen people there, from what I remember. I know it was kinda during the COVID era, and we had it down in the auditorium, but there was probably a dozen people there, and I don't think anybody was really in favor of the Connex boxes, it was about a dozen people there that wanted to see us do something about it, so, with that in mind, it would probably be pretty wise to
Go that route.
try and incorporate that again and see if there's a middle ground, or if, If everybody out there except one or two people doesn't want them out there, then you'd have to make the decision based on that.
Okay, then we'll table it.
I guess I would make,
Set up,
I would make the motion to. Problem with tabling it is then you really gotta start setting a
Yeah,
process in motion.
you better off to,
I would almost deny it in the sense that just for the sake of time and everything, not saying that it couldn't be brought up again or shouldn't be brought up again, but you'd probably almost deny it, and we'd have to go through and agree we're gonna start this process of trying to, cause otherwise if you table it, it's like, well, how long are we tabling it for? I mean, you're gonna table it for 6 months?
We don't accomplish.
Is it only gonna take, right, I mean, if you amend your ordinances, you're gonna have to have a public hearing process, there's gotta be notifications. It's gonna take at least 30 to 60 days. So that's why I'm just saying, I wouldn't table it, I would just deny it with the intent of trying to revisit it.
Okay.
Cause we'd
You
have to
wanna
have
make a motion
readings,
to that?
right, Joe?
Well, yeah, you'd have to have an amendment presented and do a reading.
Well, this was passed as a resolution, so it's a little different process, but we could do a public hearing along with the resolution, or the amended resolution.
Yeah, we know how bad the wrong decision
Oh,
turns out for everybody.
Well,
so
and I just don't
Following
feel-
the process and doing it, I know it's pain for you, but
nothing against you.
yeah, no,
Right,
it's,
just-
Yeah, right.
it's more to save our own selves because it can get real ugly when you make a bad decision
I
and upset
understand,
a
you
ton
have
of
to deal
people.
with the public,
Oh,
I
yeah.
really don't. But-
Well, and I'll even say one other thing, the reason why sometimes bad decisions get made at this table is cause you don't wanna be the bad guy, and then you end up being the bad guy because you weren't trying to be the bad, like,
Right,
he's here applying, we don't wanna be mean to him, we let him have it, and then
Yeah.
15 people come in here next month, and now it's like, oh god, we should deny it,
yeah.
well, you have conflict avoided is conflict
Well, we
multiplied,
just need to
so
slow down on some building permits and use permits and take our time through them, even though everybody wants them done yesterday. We need to do diligence to both sides for sure.
It kind of feeds into what I was gonna bring up in our zoning ordinance update later, which is I noticed in Sheridan County, I believe, or Dunn County, they have like a 120-day review process.
Before they do something.
Not saying that you need 120 days, but we usually don't have any review it's like, if it comes in on a Tuesday the week before the meeting, it's on the agenda, and we're having a public hearing, and we've always done that to try and streamline people's projects, we don't wanna be a hindrance, but we've probably made too many rash decisions by not having a review process enough to look into even how it's taxed, how, those are the questions we're gonna get asked after we grant it. He's gonna go on and build his building, and he's gonna be fine, and we're gonna get left with a lot of questions, concerns.
At least you're civil about it, thank you.
Right, no, and
Right.
you've
Yeah,
been
I
great,
understand
and I
your-
don't, the denial of it is really, again, on a personal level, I really don't see an issue. If this was 5 miles northeast of Linton, I don't think anybody'd care or even notice, your neighbors would probably think it's a great idea.
Right,
Putting it out in the recreational area, the prime residential areas of those Cattail and Beaver Bay, we probably have to be a little more cognizant of what's gonna get approved unless, we go through some processes. So I would make the motion to deny the permit. And, just the only comments would be that we keep looking at revisiting this. We need to probably look at amending this and seeing what the public has to say about it before we make a decision.
would you have a timeline on that at all?
Well, if we don't have to have any, could we do something next month, or is that too soon, or that's the only other questions? How soon would we wanna do it?
Don't you have to pass a resolution first and then have a public hearing, Joe?
No, I honestly don't know, I'd have to look at the zoning.
I would say the proper way to do it would probably be to look at revisiting it in November. That gives us enough time to make sure that we have the right process in place, like doing it just the next month, especially with the budget hearing, there's probably a lot going on. If we're gonna make sure we do our due diligence, we should probably just plan on maybe doing some kind of action at the November meeting, either a first reading, or if we can, maybe doing a public hearing in November.
Okay. What do you guys feel? Same?
Yeah, we need to quit rushing into things for sure. I think we definitely need to start slowing down and taking our time. I know it hurts the person that wants the project and it's gonna hurt some of these other conditional use permits, but we gotta make sure we're doing the right.
We discussed it the last meeting,
Yeah.
don't pull the handbrakes on it.
Yeah, it's nothing personal, but
Nothing
we just
is-
gotta make sure that
Right.
we don't get an angry mob.
Well, and I would even argue going earlier in the meeting with the section line closure. you know, those things come up on the agenda and a lot of times we don't even know about it, or I get a phone call about it and I'm like, oh, really, it's on the agenda, like, cause it just happens. And it's
Right.
always been like that, but in my mind, it just pushes way too much pressure to make a decision without maybe having enough time to do any research.
Well, the best thing I did was drove out there last night.
I looked at it earlier.
It was, I mean, you're kinda
I
like,
drove out.
it was a head scratcher, cause
Right,
it's
but
like, why
just
did they do
in
it
general,
this way?
there's just not enough time to review it, maybe
Right.
ask other counties, the state,
Right.
whoever it is you're looking for resources. Same with this one. There's other structures out there, other counties maybe have them, it's a good idea to maybe ask around, maybe we dig back into these ordinances, maybe Sheridan or Dunn or one of these other counties.
Maybe we
already
ask
has
at the
some.
6 county
Yeah,
meeting.
Well, I just feel like
Yeah, good question.
having a review period on a lot of this stuff
Yeah.
is, so.
I
But
know
yeah,
that-
I would make a
I'm
motion
Reading
to,
it through, and I think they do have some.
I would make a motion to deny the permit.
Okay, Aaron makes a motion to deny this.
I'll second it.
Second by Jim Vanderhorst. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Doesn't mean it's dead.
Nothing against you, it's not dead.
Well, can you let me know when you have a public hearing set?
Yep,
Yeah.
So I can
We
be here.
will.
I think
Yeah.
the intent would be to try and have one in November or December, depending on what the law is gonna, you mean, November might be too soon, I don't know. if we
Probably
have a
December.
number. Well, we'll just have to
We'll
check
see what
that, but
happens.
I think October would be too soon no matter what. And then, so yeah, it's no for now,
Okay.
if that's fair.
Yeah, I understand
Yeah.
completely what you guys gotta go through with other people, so.
No,
Sure.
you get,
On the building permit there, does he have a cell phone number on there? You got to touch it.
Yeah, it's just that one right there, that
here, just a minute.
See the
Yeah,
cell
there
phone
should be.
on top?
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
605. I won't repeat the number.
Yep.
Okay,
okay, I just wanted to make sure so I knew how to get ahold of you.
Okay, thank you.
okay.
So that is it, alright?
Yep, thanks,
Thanks,
Gary.
guys.
You bet. We wanna do Kristen subpoena on the battery storage assessing update.
Christina?
You wanna do now or you want a break?
Well, how long are you gonna take?
How long you take, an hour and a half?
Oh, I don't need a break, I've just seen if you guys.
No, you
Oh,
don't.
no, I only need 10.
10 minutes? Okay, come on up.
Okay, you should have some
Hi.
printouts.
Which one was it?
Yeah, we do somewhere here. There you go.
Mostly just
Which one
for,
was it, this one?
Paper clip
mostly
on
just
here.
for your
This
information.
yes, right?
Can't hear you. Chris can't hear you.
Oh,
There you go. Like you're singing that.
There you go.
Okay, mostly just for your information, is that post approval, summary that I wrote up. Just some food for thought on things.
That's good.
Basically, I couldn't find anything in Century Code regarding these battery energy storage systems. But on a webinar that I was in last week, we did talk about how they would be assessed. Basically, there's 3 scenarios, and I wrote up a little memo about that, on when they would be centrally assessed and when they would be locally assessed. So, we have to find out how the income is gonna be, how it's gonna be operated, how the income's gonna be generated. And we can only really find that out from next era. If, it's gonna be an entity all into itself, if it's going to be part of the wind towers, if the wind tower is gonna be, billing or vice versa through each other, how that works. So I was thinking maybe we have to wait for the city or for the state to approve this, right?
Right.
This is kind of
Site,
different.
yeah.
It brought to my attention last night from 2 people. That these batteries pull their power source off the grid.
Yep, they pay
They
for their
take it on
power.
the low end of the grid on the pricing. They shove it into these batteries. And if there's a spike, they can put it out on the grid if there's a demand. They said it isn't coming strictly from the turbines into this substation.
Right, yep.
And then pulled in the excess into the battery, so to say.
Yeah, so we have,
They
that's,
said that a lot of people don't understand, and I didn't understand how that was.
It's basically like making the wind towers a hybrid. they owe MDU hundred and 40 megawatts. So if the turbines aren't producing it, they buy the power off the grid, it comes basically right off the main grid. And then they kick those batteries in to supplement what they're not making.
What they're not making to fulfill.
Yeah,
their commitment.
they buy the power from Ken Electric.
Yep.
Yep.
So.
And it's not, see, and that was where I was confused the whole time till the public hearing. I thought the wind turbines powered these babies up, you spun them up. They have nothing to do with,
Right.
they're actually two separate companies,
Okay,
according to them in that public hearing.
Yep.
The battery storage
Yep.
is NextEra Resources, and the wind turbines are
NextEra.
NextEra. So they're two different companies,
so would they be number,
subsidiaries.
would they be number 2 then on the list? They would be, leasing out the,
I wanna give you a name, but I won't do it over here for you to speak to.
okay.
No,
I don't truly understand it to explain it, as I can from what they told me.
I don't think it's I mean, they're paying,
So basically what we need to, in a nutshell, is my understanding is we need to find out how much energy is going through these batteries, how much is being housed on it, and how much is being pushed out of it. And is it just gonna be the battery company that is reporting that? Or is, if they're leasing, there's a lease going on,
yeah, you're gonna need.
is the leasing company gonna be reporting that, because they already report their energy another way? So if that company is reporting it through another company, then it would be centrally assessed. If it's an entity all into its own, then we would have to somehow locally assess that, and we don't have
We don't have
that
to be sure.
structure,
Yeah.
yeah, so
Oh, yeah,
that,
we do, we can figure out what they're coming.
Yeah, we
So
have, yeah, right, we can.
yeah, so.
We,
They don't like it, they'll
that's gonna
figure out a
take-
way
that's
for
gonna-
us to do it.
That's
We'll
gonna
figure
take
it out.
multiple phone calls, I don't honestly think maybe
Well-
Clay, that there wasn't anybody here that can
Well,
answer all those
we gotta
questions.
remember that this is the first one in the state too, so the century code is gonna be pretty vague if anything,
Right.
'cause it's something that's gonna have to get handled too, and that's, I mean, that's one thing to remember, that responsibility is not totally on us, there's the Public Service Commission, there's the State Tax Department, they're all gonna have to work on this too, and they're gonna have similar questions that, you know, even with this, who's gonna be owning it, is NextEra own all of it and they're getting it leased back from these other LLCs? Are the LLCs totally standalone, and they, you know, those are, cause that is a big question that's gotta get answered.
And the state couldn't come in with the numbers either.
No,
They didn't know it. They
Well,
didn't-
they don't, because, yeah, this is gonna be the
This is
first
so
of its
new.
kind, so that's where it's, you know.
Well, the first step has to be, like I said, determining ownership.
Mhm.
Right,
And
like I said, I don't
to
even
me,
know
that it
who
would
can
be
tell you that
NextEra.
exactly.
Centrally assessed.
Well, it's
So
not
it's
gonna be any of the
NextEra
guys
gonna
that
be
presented
the
all this stuff.
umbrella
Yeah, I don't know either.
You know,
I know they're individual LLCs,
Yeah.
but their relationship between each other is, I mean, that's gonna have to get declared one way or the other.
He
so.
might be a good place to start would be, Clint,
You know,
and then he can give you places to call. Cause like I said, I don't think any of the guys that came to that public hearing that discussed any of that are gonna know the answers that you're looking for as far as when you get in financially and above their pay grades, these guys, is it leased, is it this, is it that, LLCs? You're gonna have fun trying to track that down probably, I'm not gonna
I
lie.
have a
Well,
few,
that stuff's gonna have to get registered with the state though too, because if they're gonna
Yeah, right.
centrally assess it, they have to know too, that's what
Right.
I'm saying, it's not all our
But
responsibility.
I'm just saying, I wonder if we can just kinda hang back on this a little bit and
Well, I
wait
think
for
you're
the
gonna
Public
have-
Service Commission to even approve the site.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna have to figure that stuff out too, so then
Right.
you might just be able to get most of your information right from them.
Right.
Once this is rolling forward.
yeah, I was thinking, once the state determines if it's a go, that's the first thing.
Right.
And then from there, they'll have to report to the state how they're gonna bill it.
Right,
And nobody do nothing about it. And
okay,
big dog.
But I will assess,
Some people are going after. the
other
state.
structures locally.
We allocate and we monitor ours.
well, I think even like this this whole Connex conversation while you were sitting in here, in my opinion, if you pour piers and you bolt something to it, it now becomes a permanent structure. I mean, cause we tax mobile homes too, And basically all you do is you jack them up on piers, take the wheels off. They come in, you know what I mean?
Anchor 'em down.
So, same deal, you can unbolt the bolts and put the wheels back on, jack them up, take the piers out and move them. Doesn't mean they're not a permanent structure, in my opinion, and I think that's how we have to treat these.
How is that from a legal standpoint, Joe?
I agree, I think it's no different than cinder blocks, you're not gonna tax cinder blocks living in your yard, but if you use them to build, structure, then they're part of the structure. I mean, this looks like, I mean, they filed a building permit, he's calling it a shed.
Yeah, it's a
I don't know
building.
what else we could- What else is it gonna be?
Yeah, it's a building when it's done.
And he's, like you said, I mean, he's using piers and that's another part of it, so it's becoming attached to the ground.
Cause that's what the battery guys are doing too, they're using piers, putting concrete on top, and everything's bolted down, so,
Right.
to me, it becomes a permanent structure, I mean, they plan on keeping it there a minimum of 25 or 30 years.
What happens if they put piers and they bring in cement slabs with hooks and they grab them with a crane and set these slabs down on the piers and both Conex boxes on the cement slabs they brought in,
Same
they
deal.
don't pour them on site?
Same deal.
Well, that's why we want them to sign that fixation that Joe was talking about before.
Yeah,
Then we don't have any gray area. But typically, the way that, these BESS systems are taxed in other jurisdictions throughout the United States, they're taxed on their usage, just like hemp. They're taxed on what they're pushing through.
oh, so it's a energy tax, basically.
And then they report all that information to the state, and they essentially will assess it based on those. And then locally assessed is the buildings, if we do get that affidavit of fixation. You know, that's basically what my research has shown.
Cause yeah, they're not cheap, I mean.
That's kinda how the wind towers are too, right? Like there's like a acre for the wind tower that gets valued just on like the land, but then the production is like a centrally assessed
Yes, sir.
tax value then, so
Yes.
that's,
That's probably the way it'll go.
I
But
mean,
but the wind turbine itself, we don't tax, even though it's a physical thing,
You don't tax the turbine,
no.
just the
that's-
land underneath it.
that's-
and they bought that land.
They lease it typically.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you
that's
may
part
not
of the
be able
easement,
to.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Cause it's a blanket easement, and they just place it wherever they want.
So. It's different for whatever
I
situation.
think here they were buying that land, though.
Yeah,
They had the option to buy, I think they were gonna lease it with the option.
All I can say is there's gonna be about a 95% chance the state's gonna tell us how it's taxed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cause it's not gonna be the only one ever of its kind probably too,
No.
and it's gonna get through century code and that's gonna get haggard out of legislation. So I would say more than likely it's something we probably won't even have to figure out, because even if it is locally assessed, they're probably gonna give us a pathway on how to assess them too.
But are they gonna get it into the century code before
Started
the thing is built? I mean, they want it built up by December next year.
legislatures until year after.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
So,
gonna be interesting.
All I can tell you is they have enough lobbying power, I'm sure there's a plan already in motion. The idea that this is left up in the hiatus is not, no, there's a plan coming, it's already getting worked out.
well, all my contacts at the state are not revealing such plan to me.
Right, it's cause they don't even know what to do yet, but don't worry, it's coming, they're not gonna leave that to the unknown.
No.
They're gonna,
yeah, if there's an opportunity to make a little bit more money,
right,
they're gonna make it.
Anyway, I outlined some things to consider as we're working through this. You know, we are gonna be basically, determining a lot of stuff probably when it comes to century code and possible state legislation. Because we are the guinea pig.
We're the guinea pig, far enough, and there's more coming behind this. This is just the path, kinda like when I'm speeding, I'm the guy cutting the weeds for the guy that's following me right behind speeding.
Yeah.
That's what's happening, there's a big master plan on this deal, that's my opinion.
That sounds so British.
That ain't British, not a. That's just German.
Right now, that road is just a dirt
Pick that up on
path.
vacation.
that you're driving on.
Like they said in Bach, it's not back, it's Bach.
Talking about cutting weeds, take that out to the Langler Bay Road and cut them weeds there.
So, anyway, there's some stuff to read through and consider
Yeah.
as we're working through this process, and I'll keep you updated as I go.
Okay,
Alright.
thank you.
Thanks, Christina.
Go ahead, Russ.
Is Donovan here, or?
Yeah.
He's sitting right here,
I know that.
yeah.
Can I say 3 words and then get out of here, please, if that's okay?
Sure.
Okay,
Something I was gonna
Oh,
bring
1,
up,
2, 3, you're done.
make it short, cause Don's
Yeah.
sitting impatient.
something I was gonna bring up earlier, but there was a bunch of people here, I didn't wanna hold the meeting up. Since all this happened here in the last month or so with this next era thing and stuff like that, I know it's short notice and I didn't actually, you know, put it into this year's budget and stuff, but something I'd like you guys to really consider is we could seriously use another blade and an operator. I mean, we're making headway, we're getting things done. I think this would be a really good time to probably incorporate something like that, and I think the last couple road superintendents would agree with that. We're short-staffed, the miles that the machines are trying to cover, depending on the areas, is hard. And you get out to that southwest part of the county and stuff, it just doesn't work, and we tried different options. We leave the machine out there, it works until we get a rain event or something like that, and you just get behind and you can't catch up again.
Yeah.
And like I said, with the things the way they are right now, or coming in or something like that, I think this would be a perfect time to seriously think about something like that. So, before I leave, I just want you guys, so you can stay here and talk some more.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Donovan, it's yours.
Well,
Donovan
basically,
Grenz on a building permit at Hireman property. Go ahead.
Here, here's this deal.
Yeah, basically, what I'd like to do is put up a storage facility down there on the site that used to house the Hireman home and an attached garage. And, yeah, that's a bunch of mess.
Is that in Old Town, Donovan?
Well, it's out, where I wanna put up the building is outside of the city limits.
Okay.
But it's within a half a mile of their zoning, you know, jurisdiction or whatever. So, that's why I'm here. I wanna put up a big enough building so I can put my pontoon and everything else in there.
And that's a floodplain.
Yes,
So you have-
but interesting enough, years ago, the city insisted that I hire engineers to do an elevation survey. And I almost called them liars when they told me what the result was, but where the Hireman house sat is a foot higher than our, hotel motel up here.
Oh, the old Willows Motel.
No,
Or Don's.
yep,
oh,
the cobblestone.
Oh, the cobblestone, okay.
Right, and the only time, you know, that I ever saw water on this property was on the access road coming in, and that occurred simply because I allowed the city to push snow off the street up to my property, and then in the spring of the year, when everything started melting, the snow banks diverted it over onto my road.
I know, but that, whether you've seen it or I seen it or nobody's seen it, that doesn't get you away from what FEMA's gonna do if a person lets you build there without it being built, is my point, built up is my
What's
point.
FEMA gonna do? They've been threatening to do that all along, and then up in Bismarck,
I
they can get
realize that.
insurance, and
But I
they're
know
right down on the river.
On the city, we don't allow anybody to build in a floodway without building it above the recommended height.
Well, what height do you recommend? I'll do
Well, whatever the floodplain map shows is you gotta be above that height.
1 foot above it, right, isn't that the,
I believe so.
I think it's one, cause isn't that why the golf course building, built out there, had to build it up like.
Oh, that new structure?
1 foot above base flood elevation, so we had the surveyors come out and stake where that was at for that golf course building. And then not only that, but they made the aprons extend up like 15 feet at that base flood elevation.
That's fine. Because right now, the only thing I've done is, by buying that property, is I go down there and I have to mow, it's roughly, the total acreage that I own is 3.8 acres. But, you know, I suppose I could fence it and maybe run livestock on there, but other than that, it's worthless.
So Donovan came to my office a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, because actually where it would be situated is up here. Yeah. I got junk stored here right now that I wanna get moved out, but it would be right up in here, right there.
Oh, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the city of Lytton the floodplain administrator for the city limits in the ETA?
Yeah, and actually, I think the county has a floodplain administrator as well, right?
Well, it's usually the chairman of the water board, I think, is the floodplain.
Yeah, the water board.
I know Sharon is the floodplain administrator for the city.
Who's that? And who is it on that water board?
Glenn Geffrey.
Is it
Usually the
Glenn?
chairperson.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because I think they would still even have to approve something inside the floodplain since they're the administrators. Like, you can't just grant a building permit inside the floodplain.
You can you? Because it puts pressure on the other people adjacent to it.
No, I mean, I think you can, but there's like it's not just the county that approves a building permit, it would have to be.
Processes.
Right, I mean, you'd have, I think the city or at least the floodplain administrator, just because that's a part of, being a part of the FEMA flood insurance program is
Have you
cooperating
talked to
with all the
Glenn
bylaws.
Geffrey? Done.
Pardon?
Did you talk to Glenn Geffrey?
Nope.
City water
No, I haven't, but I certainly can.
Yeah, as long as you know where you're at, right, Donovan? If you're gonna build it up a foot or whatever.
Yeah, that's it.
So I have it mapped within city limits based on a survey that was done in 2013 that the city platted and submitted, so that's where the white line is.
I don't think it was properly made part of the city.
Yeah, and I can't make that, that's what was recorded, this
So is-
white line,
That's
I don't
the
wanna give
city
his phone
limits or the
number.
ETA?
that's the city
That's
limits.
the city limits,
That's what
okay,
they
There's his phone number.
submitted as their
That's
corporate
Glenn.
limits.
sure.
So, yeah, his entire parcel has been taxed as being in the city. It is for voting districts and census bureaus within city limits, but I told him I'd do some research.
Okay.
And that's all I came up with was the one survey from the city. That would be that white line.
You bet.
So it falls within that, and I called Sharon and she said she'd look into it too, but haven't heard much, so.
Now, whether that city line is correct or not, the house, or where the house used to set, where I wanna put up the structure, it's not, I don't think it's in, no way, according to them, they're claiming it's in the city limits.
Yeah, according to the survey, it's within
Yeah,
the city limits.
it's not, the lots and blocks
Yeah,
end
so,
right here.
yeah.
And if it was in the city limits, you'd think there'd be lots and blocks instead of that squiggly line. I think what they're trying to do is establish a zoning, area. But actually, my,
Jim Hireman and them guys?
Yeah, that was right.
Well, it's the half-mile jurisdiction.
They were the only ones.
Yeah, they would
You're
still,
the
have-
other one.
you still have to do a permit through the city,
Yeah.
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 But, yeah, I was still trying to determine if the city would want it.
Well, it would depend, right, if it was platted, that 3 point some acres was a part of the original plat for Patterson edition, it wouldn't have to be parceled out in specific city blocks if that plat was approved though. I mean, you'd have to look in and see how it was recorded as a plat for that Patterson
none of
edition.
this has been platted out.
Well, yeah,
Up here by
that
this
wasn't,
side.
no lots were created,
No.
like, they didn't plat an outlot like other towns do, but it was platted as the city boundary, so that's how it was drawn back in 2013.
Yeah, there'd have to be a little research on
Yeah.
who's even has jurisdiction there.
I don't know where the hell it's really at, but look at
You don't know where it's
It's
at?
down in Old Town, so this is,
That's
this.
Spring
Is that on the
Creek.
south
Yeah,
side?
if you guys would like
down
to.
here,
Courthouse?
if we go down this road here, and that little bridge that
Yep,
goes over Bear
yep,
Creek and
yep.
it turns into gravel.
Yep.
Well, he's right before that, the first right, or the last right you can take goes back around,
Right or left?
right.
Oh, right.
He's on the north side of this
Okay,
road.
okay.
Yeah, cause here's where Jerry Heisel lives.
Yep,
This used to be the Waggy house.
yep, Ray Waggy.
Right,
Yeah, you just drive it right there.
Okay, that's how you go up and in there.
This is, I have no disagreement that this stuff is in the city, cause it's been, you know, it's been platted,
Yep.
but.
Well, we have spots all over that aren't platted, that are still in the city. I mean, that.
That's a nice
platting
spot.
doesn't necessarily mean, we just
Just in the
didn't,
spots.
we didn't, they just don't
Yeah,
make.
you know,
Well, I,
Jerry.
you know, I've never seen anything.
He was right
Annexing
there by the
in-
creek.
Only him.
Yeah, right.
on that.
Well, and to be
But I mean,
honest,
it must
Donovan, I
be
don't think the
higher
city would have an
than
issue with it either, as long as it's built up, you know, and if
Oh,
you're saying
yeah.
you're gonna build it up, then I
Whoever,
don't
whoever
think.
tells me how
we
high it
just
has
gotta
to be, I'll build it up.
We just gotta figure out who can say yes and who can say no, I mean,
Right.
I don't think it's us.
Cause that's a nice spot back in there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a nice area.
I just don't think it's
Do
us.
you have a city water and everything back there?
No,
No?
that's the other thing.
In order to be a part of FEMA's program, you have
There's,
to be industry.
bring that up again.
Which area?
It also has nothing to do with the county, it has more to do with FEMA, the state water commission, calls it the industry.
Yeah, here on 7th Street. You know, I didn't think it needed to be repaved or whatever, but there's no curb on this side. There's curb over here. This is not served by city sewer, it's not served by city water.
What the hell?
And the, you know, as far as the curb on this side goes, it starts right here.
Yep.
From here to here, there's no curb. Over here, there's curb alongside.
Huh.
It's almost as confusing as Crane's Edition.
The thing is though, is cause even down by the, on the south side of the highway, south of Nodak there, where that church was,
Yep.
Yep.
even the city of Lytton had jurisdiction on all of that, plus they also, I think even Milo, they had jurisdiction on there because of it's got to do with the FEMA flood program and the flood insurance program more than it even does about like zoning jurisdiction, because when we signed all them letters of intent to be a part of that program, so that you could get flood insurance in Emmons County or in the city of Lytton, then those kinds of agreements actually kind of trump the zoning ordinance or go in compliance with the zoning ordinance, because
Well,
we joined that program, so.
that Hireman house had an 8-foot basement, 8 feet deep. And it didn't have the conventional glass windows in it, it had like those glass blocks.
Yep, yep.
And that basement never flooded. The only reason that house was removed is because it caught fire.
That's where Jim Hyman, those guys.
Right,
were from.
him and Tom and,
Yep, yep.
and his brothers, yeah.
Well, and that doesn't mean it's not in the floodplain. I mean, the
Well,
flood,
I
it's
don't
just,
care if it's in the floodplain or
well,
not.
no, I know, I'm just saying, that you have to realize this map doesn't mean that you ever had water in your house at any period in time. This is just a study that's done to show that this is the potential of water in your basement or in your building, or, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we still have to follow this map. I mean, the city, we've done work to try to change this map. We've hired an engineer to do their own study, because they put a bunch of businesses in this map just recently, so we've tried to, I mean, we wanna get as many people out of the floodplain as we possibly can, because like you said, you never even had water in the basement.
That's right.
But that doesn't take you out of the floodplain. I mean, it's a study that you have to do, and FEMA likes to play games, and it's, you know, the government.
Well, they're doing it in South Bismarck, you see, where
Well, they're building
they're in the
all over.
floodplain, but they're building these places up, and they're building homes
And it
on
all
it.
winds up because of insurance and
Yeah,
everything else.
because of
It has-
insurance compliance.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the fact of if you've ever seen water in your basement or not. I mean, it's just a game. It's the government playing a game.
Kinda like the Corps.
But I honestly think the biggest thing we have to figure out here is who has jurisdiction over that, and that's who would
Well, the
approve
last,
this or not approve it.
the last time, when Debbie wanted to build a house down there, I had to get approval from the county commissioners, and I had to get approval from the city.
So then you're in that half-mile gray area.
And you couldn't get it then from the city or what?
No, Deb got ill and we never pursued it.
Pursued it or
What's
I
this?
just find it hard to believe that I could be, you know, denied a permit to build where there was an existing structure. You know,
You
no,
basically have to
Do you
have
have
it
the-
surveyed, right?
Huh?
Joe? You'd have to have that surveyed, so you knew how high to build that up.
Yeah, I think he's
Well, yeah,
probably gonna
it
need
is.
an elevation certificate, but I think Sharon's gonna know exactly what's needed, cause there's certain things that we have to send to the water commission before.
mhm.
But that's what we had to do, is we had to go through this, at the golf course, get this, flood elevation or the elevation survey. We had to do it before and then after.
I imagine you had to hire a certified surveyor to do that, you couldn't just take an altimeter and use
So-
science and walk.
I don't know, I imagine they probably have to be certified, but yeah, the golf course hired more engineering for that, but.
They gotta be certified, Donovan, you know?
Well, there's a city council meeting tonight, Donovan, so I would say that probably, your next stop should probably be talking to Sharon.
I really don't think the county's gonna have anything to do with this.
I don't
Because
either.
it looks to me like that,
It's on county property.
according to this, it looks like it's on city property, plus
No.
they have the ETA, plus they're the floodplain administrator, so I
That
think
was
we're.
never properly annexed in as part of the city of Clinton.
Well, even if that was the case, we still wouldn't have the approval to grant you a permit without dealing with the floodplain administrators, because that's a part of the National Flood Insurance Program, so. I would say the city of Linton is gonna be the first stop to get approval on something like that.
In other words, I better look to find some rental storage for my pontoon.
Yeah, I got some room down in the farm building.
You can stack Connex boxes.
Might
and
be
build a
tough to
roof over
negotiate.
it.
I was thinking about amending my building permit to ask to use.
Over here, Meg, I don't know where you're stirring.
I'm not the city, it ain't my problem, that's his problem, so. I would say the city of Linton, because I know they're the main, they're the main artery along with that, because of the flood insurance.
We got one guy in the city council that does that, he stirs a pot and says, take it to the county, and then he looks down at me, right?
So I'm that guy here, what you're saying, so.
Yeah, I got one here and I got one there.
That's right, that's what
Do
you
you
get.
want me to draw up that rental agreement, or you gonna draw it? You want me to draw that up, or you gonna draw it?
Was it a case of beer?
What do you got there, Josh?
This is that survey that the city did for corporate limits.
Okay.
So when you see my maps, hold on. I think that's where they got the lines for, like his would be right here,
Okay,
so.
and that
that's
looks to me
white-
like they use the center line of Spring Creek there?
Yeah, somewhat. Let's see here. So yeah, that white line follows that survey that the city did back in 2012, 13. And then the black lines, the parcel lines, a lot of them are described by the center of the creek, that's why some don't match up. I don't think this white line exactly follows the creek, but it's close.
Mhm.
But this is how they had it surveyed.
I think we just have to deny the permit on our end, and it has to go to the city.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, I would have to say that I think the city's the one responsible for this.
Well, I can tell you that the city's dealt a lot more probably than the county has as far as any of that flooding in Old Town. And, you know, your elevations and the floodplain and all that, because we own a ton of property down there too, you know, that's been vacated because houses were flooded.
So what
Well,
is
if
Sharon's?
I can't utilize this property, I'll vacate it too, and you
Well,
guys can have it.
it's not that I don't think you can't utilize it, it's just we gotta follow the right process, and I think Sharon's gonna be able to direct you better, and I think the city is the one that would approve this building permit after all the boxes are checked to make sure that it's, you know, like the water commission and everything else.
See, what did like Kenner do when they bought that old Lawler, that Petrie house?
Pardon?
What did they do like Kenner, the vet? He bought that Petrie house.
I think they built, they raised the elevation.
They raised
before
the
they
elevation,
began, yeah.
and there's no basement, is that on grade?
I mean,
No,
are
that's
you
a-
talking about
it's
the
a
one
crawl
out
space.
on Highway 83?
No, that old,
Petrie
Lawler
house,
house
Lawler
that they
house.
moved,
The tissue.
Fish farm.
Oh, yeah,
they raised
the
that.
one that Russ Lawler and his
Yeah,
wife owned.
yeah,
They raised that
It's the
grade
main
too and then
floor
set it on there
elevation
when they
that has
moved
to
it
be
in.
The main has to be up.
And then that one.
They didn't have to, see in certain spots are real tricky, it looks like it should be up 3 feet, and sometimes it's 8 inches or whatever. So that's what I mean, you might not have to go up that high, it just all depends on.
Well, the thing is, if permit's granted, I have to do some landscaping down
Yep.
there. And, I was gonna haul in some washed sand, to do that, but,
I just think it's the city that has to grant that permit.
See, and I didn't know that, Aaron just made a remark here, that it has to be your ground floor of your home or your structure, right?
Well, I
Has to
think
get a
that's
certain-
like that, you can't have a basement and the main floor has to be to a certain elevation, that's why that house you're talking about,
Yep,
that has like a crawl
crawl
space.
space to jack that.
You're allowed to
petri
do
house.
that, but you can't have like living space below an elevation and the main
well,
floor.
there will
like-
be none in the storage unit, it'd be on the slab.
But I
Well, that's
think-
answering his question,
Yeah,
how
just
you
answer
built
my
that
question.
house,
But
that,
we don't know those numbers and we're basically just throwing limited information out, Sharon would have that information, I guarantee.
And there was one building in town that was allowed to be like at or maybe below where everybody else had to be, but FEMA made them put in prefabricated flood vents. You know, so if there was a flood, the water would go through theoretically, I guess, and then also, I believe their electrical had to be set at like 4 feet high instead
Where
of,
was that
I can get that for you.
at? Okay.
But yeah, it's in that area kinda.
It's goofy, I don't.
It's goofy when you're dealing with that stuff, what do you do?
I know what I'd like to tell FEMA, but, yeah.
You and everybody else, that's
Yeah.
a fact. So I'll make a motion
Okay.
to deny this permit based
Okay.
on the grounds that I think that it belongs to the city, not the county.
Okay, is there a second to
That's my
that?
only reason.
Aaron, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Good.
Sorry, Don.
Thanks, Don.
Thanks for coming in.
Well, I think you're gonna get good information out with Sharon, I do, I mean,
I
I,
talked to her before about it, and I was always confused in regards to where you go.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's her.
But I'll go back and
I'll
see.
give
Yeah,
her a
get a
check
hold
back.
of Glenn too, Don.
Okay.
And I can maybe take that check for the rent.
Yeah, Dan would just prefer you make it out to his best friend. Than
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Don. That should be the extent of it. Zoning ordinance update, you wanna keep going, guys?
let's just finish it here.
Yeah, yeah, let's get her
Let
done.
me get, yeah.
And you got a designated county delegate.
You should probably do the public comment opportunity pursuant right now,
Yeah,
because
do
we're way
SB.
behind and,
2180,
Perfect time for it.
yep, I think so as well.
Long line.
all good?
Yeah, absolutely, do
Okay,
it.
let's do it.
Okay.
Public comment opportunity pursuant to SB 2180.
Anyone? Anyone?
Any
Well, I
comment?
think you can just keep it open if someone would come in, I mean,
Yeah,
technically,
yeah.
it's,
Leave it open?
I'd say just if someone comes in, you gotta honor it, but I think we can move on if no one's here, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Designated county delegate,
So
That's for
the
the-
county has
what's that
to-
for?
Okay, so Association of Counties has their conference at the end of October.
Oh, yeah,
And
they
they
said-
vote at the business meeting, they vote on bylaws, they vote on resolutions and this and that. And every county is supposed to have a voting delegate. No one has ever volunteered before, so I don't know who's did it, I was
Yeah.
kinda hoping that people would come in and wanna do it, so you guys gotta designate somebody. And I've done it for the last 10, 15 years, I don't mind doing it, but I just, it's very, it's a good experience, and I just wish other people would just do
It's
it.
at the end of October or the beginning?
They're having it at the end of October this
The
year.
annual conference? Cause usually it's always like the first week of October.
I think they changed it.
You're showing such interest, Mr. Magrum, would you consider it?
I mean, get me in a room with a bunch of Association of County people and they can't leave?
Would
You get locked in a room with them for a little bit?
Yeah.
Maybe buy him a set of brass knuckles.
Sounds so good.
I mean, I don't mind doing it, it's just that I was hoping that somebody had.
Why don't you do
It's
that?
really
I
good
think you'd fit
experience.
really in there well. There'd be results.
I think certain people would like me there.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
think certain people would wish I wasn't there and they probably miss Marlis a little bit.
yeah.
What day is it?
I'm kind of looking here.
I can't make a motion as a sitting chair, but there's other guys who are sitting on the board that can. And we have an individual here to the left of me that has a very I mean, he's very
Yeah,
interesting.
Jim, you think you'd be great at it?
Yeah.
This year it's the 26th to the 28th.
26th or the 28th, but the
Oh.
meeting would only be one day, right? You
The
don't,
meeting is usually, it's gonna probably be that Tuesday morning at 7 or 7:30 in the morning, it's usually when we have
You could do that.
it. It's no big deal.
put me down.
I mean,
Alright, atta boy.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably the only one they'll ever let me in. I got some opinions, got some
There you go.
things I'd like to say to the association.
Congratulations to our new county delegate.
so you're gonna go to the Association of Counties Conference too then, right?
You.
No.
I will attend where I'm needed. I'm not gonna just walk around
Okay.
talking to the RDO guys about blade prices, no.
Okay,
I'll be incredibly busy, but I will make some time for that little meeting.
so if anybody wants to go to the conference,
I'll probably need to go to the chiropractor by then or
you can
something.
go online and register for it.
Make use of the trail.
And that's October for Aaron, what, October?
The 26th to the 28th. He's gonna be that county's voting delegate.
Deal.
There we go.
There you go, Aaron, accepted. Glad you're gonna get well rounded like Mark says, you know?
Can't wait to see the look on their face when they see my name on that list.
What else do we have to run across you guys?
Well, with the zoning ordinance,
Ordinance,
I had a couple suggestions, I don't know if we have to go and move forward specifically today right now with it, but in light of our last couple public hearings, and then reading into some of the Dunn and Sheridan County stuff,
Yeah.
I just had a few things that I just think we should chew on, we could just make this quick, but the one thing that, and I didn't write down, I just wrote down Sheridan and Dunn, so I'm not sure which one comes from which county, I forgot to write that part down, but I believe it's Sheridan County. So they have a $600 application fee for their conditional use permit. Then once it's approved, then they have a permit fee structure.
Okay.
I like that idea because if you do deny the permit or if it goes into any kind of limbo deal, you're only asking them to put a few $100s forward for
Yeah.
an application fee, you know? Cause otherwise, technically, you're basically committing to large sums of money if you're gonna have your, cause like even Sheridan, they're, from what I found with their fees, and I don't remember if it was just for the wind turbines, that was where a lot of this stuff was under, so they seemed to be pretty integrated at, but it was 1/10 of 1% of the estimated
Oh, yeah,
cost.
right.
But there were other variables in there, so that wasn't just like across the board,
No.
maybe that was just for wind towers, but the $600 was, like, you paid that no matter what, it was non-refundable for
Just
applying,
for our
it cost
time
you.
and us to have to go through it.
Right, and
or
so-
Of zoning board.
I think even like
that
now,
idea
like we had
too.
the $250 fee, which maybe that becomes our application fee, or $350, and that just kinda covers the extra paperwork and the people goofing around,
Because we're not
whatever.
even covered anything, this
Right.
kind of fees.
And then once you approve it, and then you have a fee structure based off
That's a
that,
good idea.
which I liked, so that was one interesting part.
I was
Another,
in Sheridan's. I read-
another one was the
Yeah, I did.
120-day option for review. It's an option. You can set a hearing at any time, but at least it's out in front, like, hey, don't be coming in acting like it's on fire and you gotta make a decision in 20 days. We have 120 days. You better know that. You better get your stuff in on time, cause it could sit here for 4 months before we even set a hearing.
And I honestly, on top of that, Aaron, I think we just need to do that with everybody. I mean,
Agreed.
there was no reason we had to entertain Donovan, he brought that check in and the building permit during the meeting.
Well, and that's where I think like a lot of this stuff happens, where it's like it comes in at 3 o'clock on a Monday for our Tuesday meeting, and then it's on the agenda, which is not Marlis's fault, she's putting it
No,
together.
no.
But us as a board has always been like, oh, well, I hate to table it because we're pushing it off for somebody, it's like, we need to have a reasonable expectation out for, maybe not 120 days, I don't know,
Yeah.
but I don't think 60 to 120 days is out of line at all for.
Not for some of this big stuff.
Right, and maybe you
Absolutely.
have multiple ones, maybe for something like a section line, it's 45 days, but then for a conditional use permit, it's 120.
Yeah.
You know, those are the kinds of things that you see, you're going, it'd be nice to have 60 days to review some of this stuff,
Yeah,
and
review-
historically, we've
review
never done
That's
that.
what this sheet got.
Right.
I didn't even read it.
Another thing that I thought was important that I did like, and this was in Dunn counties, I remember that, was a defined process for the stages. So what that was that permit and fee comes into this office. This office now has 5 to 7 days before it goes to You know, so if it needs to go to, let's just say Marla's first, cause she's kinda like the central hub.
Yeah.
That needs to get over to Josh, if Josh is a part of that process, and he needs to go through a certain review. Then it goes to the state's attorney or the recorder's office, and this is all a part of your review process, your 60 or 90 days. Not only do you have 120 days, but what happens in that 120 days? And then when does it get to the commissioners, and the commissioners make a decision on when the public hearing is? And that forces us how to act, but it also shows them, like, don't apply for something in March and expect to get a decision in April, because Marla should get it for a week, Josh should get it for a week. You know, whoever, you know, wherever office, if Joe needs, somebody
This
should be
ramrod
getting
has to come.
5 to 10 days, and then it gets to our desk, and then it gets a review through
That's
that.
80%.
Or the zoning board, if the zoning board that we're creating, it gets, you know, 60 days at the zoning board plus 10
And
to
then they
15
come with
days.
an idea of what they feel.
Yep, no.
Right, and so that was another part of the defined processes, which I thought was a great idea.
I think there's some real good direction in the both of them.
Mm-hmm. The other thing about it was, there were some minimums and maximums, whether or not you think that's important or not, but that is out there where no matter what, it's $1,000 minimum, I don't care what size it is. And, you know, if you wanna put a maximum, you wanna put some kind of limit on it, or if you just wanna roll it on the percentage like we did, and that's fine too. And then another thing is the fee schedule, I thought was really interesting. Because if you're gonna have these projects with these higher permit fees, you're gonna have to probably try and make it a little more, not necessarily easier, but I like the idea that there's only a certain amount due until they like pass the next stage. I thought that was, whether or not the way NextEra presented it was perfect and that's the way it should always be, but I did like the segmenting of it, cause at least it's like, another issue that could come up is all of a sudden we're holding the bag on this entire project and they get denied at the PSC.
Yep.
Now we owe this money back. Now, not only that, do we owe the interest back? Do we owe the, like, you know, where did we store it in the meantime? Do we, you know, so, I think the stages, and then every stage it becomes non-refundable. Like, once you hit that stage, you cut that, it's not coming back, you know,
It's yours, it's ours.
you give us that first 10%, then you get your PSC, now we're up to 50%, you don't build the project because you ran out of funding, tough, that money's already ours, it's
Yep,
gone. And-
no, I like that idea
And I
too.
think it just creates a lot of clarity, and I think, so those are just kind of 5 bullet points that I think no matter how we proceed, those probably should be incorporated in some way, shape, or form, and then also, I think we need to probably, I don't wanna say fast track, 'cause that's a bad term, because we're trying to do this stuff right, but the conditional use permit is gonna be the major hangup in our ordinance adjustments. This Connex box thing and stuff, while being important, is only affecting one landowner, and if it gets pushed out 2-3 months, it's kinda not the end of the world. Some of these projects, you know, we're gonna either have to address them, or we need to create some criteria so these companies know what they're applying for, so.
Yeah.
Well, I just wondered, can we make a quick change to the, well, I shouldn't say quick change, it's gotta go through the process. But I still think that the biggest hangup on the conditional use permit is that people are reading it as, well, it's agriculturally zoned, so we can sneak under this
Yep.
one. I think it just needs,
That's
we just
gotta be
need to
changed.
add something in there right now
But
to
can
cover
you
our
change
butts
that
that
in the
says,
Final use will be.
the final use is determined by the
Yeah.
use, not the zoning. The conditional use permit is based on industrial
project.
and, cause there's a list of what is industrial and what is agricultural. And I think as long as it just says in there, it's not based off the land currently zoned, it's based off the use, period.
I think, honestly, I think we just need to have one permit.
Be
I
done
think
with it.
cause all this stuff should really be a part of that. If it's a really simple project and it's really cheap, you're gonna have a very low permit fee.
Right.
And we don't have to review it for 90 days or 120 days. We can go, ah, geez, this is something pretty simple, we can move forward with it. I think giving you the option, and I think you just make it a broad spectrum thing and you include everything in it, so there's no discussion. You have some little RV park in the county, we were trying to save somebody some, there's no cheap projects no more.
Right.
Nobody's gonna be doing a $500 conditional use permit project. And if they do, the fee will be almost nothing, so it won't matter, but all these projects are 10, 20, 50, $100,000. You know, if it's a $100,000 project, which is probably a pretty modest conditional use permit project, you're talking about a $3,000 fee, that's not gonna break a
They're
$100,000
gonna stop,
project,
they're
so.
gonna stop.
And that's where if you did wanna put minimums, or maybe you wanna put some kind of fee structure differently, you could, but to be honest, I don't think 3% is gonna restrict.
So maybe we
anything.
work our way that way so that we don't have to, I mean, cause this is a lot to adopt. You know,
Right, I think,
I mean, I think we just need to fix,
making it one permit and throwing some of these ideas together would be probably all we would need to do to amend our conditional use permit, and then at least we can be accepting permits while we're deciding what color someone's
Right,
house
yeah,
should be. You know, like, I don't want
To make it
shingle
easier for
design
you too.
to hold up us reviewing massive
Yeah.
projects that, you know, could be good for the county, you
Right,
know,
yep, no,
so
I
while
agree.
we're going through the book, I think we need to fix our conditional use
Yep.
permit, like,
now,
in my opinion, I think we could almost have a first reading probably next month.
I think that's.
And then at least start scheduling it to where, cause you can have a public hearing 2 months after your first reading, right? I mean,
Yeah, you can, I was kinda looking at some of this stuff, if you have a resolution that's proposed and adopted, you can publish notice for 2 consecutive weeks and have a public hearing on it, so you could do it, you know, theoretically, if we have one now, or if we have one next month and we read it, we like it, and we wanna propose it to the public, we could have that public hearing in November.
well, and I would just say, cause the first reading in a lot of ways isn't really that important, I mean, it is as a part of the process, but the public hearing and the approval of the second part is that's the meat and potatoes
Right,
of it, so.
yep.
I feel like we should probably try and work through something, maybe even October, and then let's give it a long period. Let's give it a month of publishing
Joe, do
or
you do the
something, let's,
readings first and then the public hearing? Or do you do public hearing and then
Well, specifically for a resolution, you can pass a proposed resolution. Okay, cause you need something to propose to the public at the hearing, so you have that, and then, you publish notice of the time and place of the public hearing twice. And you would have a copy of it on file, people want to take a look at it, and then it would get read at the public hearing and, discussed, and that would be the second time it was discussed, cause obviously you had to pass the proposed resolution at
So
the
the
first.
first reading is when you do the proposed resolution.
so that's where we would probably bring ideas forward in October. And we would probably agree and pass a resolution on what we agree, that's the first reading. And then basically what ends up getting read and then amended at the public hearing is the second reading, and you could pass it that night.
So you'd have a public hearing like in November then?
Yeah,
November or December, like I said, I don't think you wanna rush that part, you more so just wanna at least get a first reading out, let people absorb it, give it 30 days, give it 60
Yeah.
days, and then have your public hearing and try and hammer it out before, like, let's just say the end of the year. And then that way, at least that part, which is the majority of our issues and what we're talking about, is at least,
from what we're seeing.
right, you know?
no, yeah, I agree,
And maybe October's even too soon for a first reading, but at least if you have a first reading and you got what you figure is probably 80 to 90% of the process, then you hammer out the rest at the public hearing and input and try and go from there. And you don't have to make a decision at the public hearing, maybe there's too much to resolve, and then you have another hearing, you know, you can have multiple hearings and meetings, really, and just.
Well, when do we get this together as far as a committee, a planning committee?
We need to get that done.
That we gotta get done too.
You need to get a zoning board going?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think you're gonna have a
Because
hard
it was
time,
established at one time.
you're gonna have a hard time getting a zoning board together before you would at least get your conditional use permit probably, and that was my point.
Okay.
Probably a good process.
I feel like this is something that we need to probably just get hammered out, and then at least it's a lot closer to what we want.
Right.
And then as a part of the process, you know, and bringing the zoning board on, you know, down the road, they can make more changes, but at least I think
This is the
these
big
kinds of
one.
ideas, not saying everything I brought up is right, but those, I think we're all in agreement that these are the types of things we want in our conditional use
Yeah.
permit.
Right.
And we only want one permit.
Yeah,
I don't think
Yeah.
we want to, I
Yeah, I
don't think
don't
we even,
think we need
I was
to.
trying to accommodate and help people out, all it did was create confusion, I think we
Yeah.
just go to one permit and we have a bunch of rules for it. The little projects will hardly be impacted, the big ones will get covered,
Yeah.
and it's probably a lot
And
of
keep it
process.
simple.
I think so.
Yeah.
So I'd say if
Yeah, we
anything-
get that done, then we can work on a plan.
I'd say if anything, if there was a goal, I would say try and bring anywhere from 5 to 10 ideas to the next meeting that we can put together and draft a resolution at the next meeting for a first reading.
Did you wanna have a special meeting in between this one and the next one, to get it going a little quicker?
I don't know if that's really necessary, because I would like to see the second part, I would like to get a first reading out there with things that we're kind of agreeing on, which I don't think will be that hard, because I think we're in the same boat.
Same, I think we're all thinking the same.
Vaguely, I mean, close enough that, you know, we can agree on something like, I'm probably gonna wanna change that, but then you get it out to the public, cause that's what we want them driving this process too, because there's obviously input from people.
Oh, yeah.
They have opinions on it.
Right.
Let's get a process rolling, and then let's give them 30 or 60 days, instead of being like, well, the next one's in 2 weeks, well, that's the minimum you have to, well, then that's not enough time for people.
Cause I know guys have talked to me and they said, Dan, if I'm building a $2 million shop, that 3% fee is not gonna hinder me and stop me from doing my project. It isn't gonna happen.
Right.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
And if you're under $100,000, you're talking hundreds, if not low thousands of dollars, which isn't gonna impact your project either, so.
Are you talking about a 3% on a building permit too then, is that what you're talking
Condi-
I think the conditional use permit would be the main thing.
Yeah.
That's the main reason, but I think even going forward with some of these other review periods, I think you would wanna even incorporate section line closures,
Everything.
building
Everything.
permits. I think, and that probably would have to get amended as a separate process, cause we're doing the conditional use permit, but I think that's something to even consider with that, cause Josh isn't getting enough time, we're not getting enough time, we're all, you know, coming in here. Like, some of these things get on the agenda, and I'm like, oh, what the heck, and then it gets in my packet, and I'm like, man, I got a week to figure this out.
Chances are I'm gonna see Donovan at a meeting again tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Well, right,
And that's not enough time to,
No.
I mean, you know, you can't really approve a building permit
You can't,
when you
just
don't have
short
everybody
notice.
that's, needs to be informed of it and have their input without everybody having their input, and
That's
it's.
where a zoning committee would come in.
Well, right, that's exactly, I think Emmons County's long past the
Oh,
time.
I agree. I just think Aaron's thing is, and I agree with him 100%, is we don't wanna tell everybody we're closed for business right now until we get our poop in a group,
Yeah,
cause we're not. But we also wanna make sure that before you show up with I mean, we do have somebody on the back burner right now. We want it to be straight so that we don't have this confusion.
And
I
that there's
think
not a
the sooner-
loophole they can jump through.
well, and especially cause we did see a lot of weaknesses in our process with
Yes.
this last deal. I think it turned out and it was fine, is what it is, but now that we know those shortcomings, it's like, there's no point waiting a year for a board, or maybe not even having a board by then, and 7 other projects wanna come in, and we're just like, nope, we don't know what to do. I think we know how to fix some of these things, let's try and at least do that, and we still have the ability as a board to deny these permits if it still doesn't fit what we want, but
Yeah.
even just some of these ideas are better than what we have.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I would say that'd be the plan, would be to try and we don't have to pass a resolution next month, we can still spitball it, but I think we should all try and bring in our couple ideas, and if the ones we agree on, we start piling them on a list, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
Okay?
absolutely.
I was gonna comment, make one comment, Jim Leopard called me.
Yeah, I just
He
had a
was the
call.
commissioner
You what?
that was here
Yeah.
at our hearing. He says, I don't know, are we gonna have a contract with NextEra on this battery, project? Well, a contract or a detailed contract, I don't know. He says we should, and we should have it, looked at by an attorney, a corporate attorney, he called it, but I don't know if that's all necessary.
Well, to my understanding, the only real contract I would know would be like a haul road agreement. And then, you know, as far as the actual permit,
Okay, that was
but
pretty.
as far as like a contract,
Yeah, I didn't really know.
How do you control
That's
this
not
haul?
it, that's just that's the new one.
How do you control it? How many trucks go into that thing? How do you control that?
well, it's, you know,
Is it
it's the honor system, unless you're gonna have a sheriff or somebody out there.
monitoring that?
The only other thing we had talked about with the wind towers, but it never really came to fruition, would be to designate someone as like a
Like a
haul
gate
road,
check.
haul road
Right.
czar, somebody that takes load tickets.
That's what I was
You can-
wondering
you
too.
can
It
afford
should
to do
be,
it.
shouldn't it?
Well, it's, I can tell you,
Years we have been.
when the wind tower project came through,
Yeah.
we had a significant amount of permits. But I'm positive we missed some. I don't know how many.
This is why I asked, I said, how do you regulate this?
The only thing I will say is some of the trucking companies were regulating it themselves. The reason why I say that is because some trucking companies were getting permits, and they found out through the grapevine that there were a couple that didn't know about that,
Oh, okay.
and they kinda ratted them out and it got them,
Took
like,
care
I'm
of
not saying it
itself.
was all perfect, and if we were supposed to get 100 of them, we got 100 of them, but if we were supposed to get 100, I'd be willing to bet we got 90 to 95 of them. Like, there weren't a lot of them that missed, but NextEra was another one that was supposed to be kind of compliant with that too, so.
So really, we should, from a
be.
real professional standpoint, we should have somebody out on site
Yeah,
and just say, hey, I need a.
could be taken.
Cause I was
taken-
wondering about that too,
Yeah.
cause we even talked like maintaining that road, they, you know, and graveling it, keeping track of it, we talked about that.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, absolutely, we'll definitely, and then I'm thinking, well, we approved this permit, and I'm like, we didn't do anything with this road, or taking care of the road, or them maintaining anything, and I'm thinking,
Well, there's a whole road agreement that has to come through.
okay.
That has to come through, but
And
they
that-
usually
that
don't
type
bring
of
that
deals-
until after the PSC approval.
And that is in there,
Okay.
like,
That,
we have a
our own
blade operator,
contract.
or we won't touch it, we'll stay off of it.
Yep.
but we'll-
We have our own contract.
We have the right to negotiate all
Okay,
that stuff.
okay.
We have one, and then NextEra usually has one, or Blattner.
And that's where I was
And then you
wondering
can
where.
hash it out, cause there's some
Okay.
things on there that we have struck off before or amended,
Okay.
and then we all sign it. That, yeah, I was a part of that process with the wind tower.
Okay.
Cause I just, the project was already approved, and then I got elected, and then the project was being built in my first spring, summer of it. And so we did have a meeting, and
Okay.
then you go through and you approve, so we will have a chance at
Cause we just left and I'm like,
negotiating.
oh, I think we might
Yep.
have missed
Oh,
something.
man, I thought that like this, man,
We know,
how snowball did we get, you know?
no, the Hall Road agreement does have to be signed and done before, that's our last layer, that's probably more the contract, if anything, where
Probably.
you can put in some terms, you know, things like whether or not they're gonna rebuild the road, fix the road, add culverts,
Yeah,
things
so
like
it'd
that.
be good to have that on.
But it wouldn't be, I think it would be a great idea to maybe even hire a temporary, somebody that would go
Yeah.
out there and literally just take load tickets as a verification of the whole load pass
Yeah.
permit system.
Now that you know is it
I
gonna be
mean,
compromised.
if you catch every permit, you know, if you would miss 2 or 3 permits, you could pay someone's salary for a
Damn
while.
right.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of them, even at a minimum, are usually in the low thousands. I mean, even a small permit, right, Marlis?
I'm looking for something.
She's
I
like,
think
Some of
they're
them,
super
some of them
smart.
load pass permits, even the cheaper ones are like $1,500,
Oh, yeah.
2,000, so you get someone out there that catches 10 tickets that they missed, they'd pay for their salary, for sure.
Yeah.
yeah, maybe we should look into some.
I think we should, it can't
Compliance
bother me
on-
on this load permit, how do you monitor this, you know?
It is, most of them know about it, and it is a little bit of an honor system, and
Can you put it electronic, you know, with all these
Well,
systems now with electronic?
Marlis has to approve every one of them. or
Like with a cam or whatever, you know?
Oh,
Is it camera?
Yeah, I mean, you can monitor your yard, why can't you monitor what's coming in and out of these roads?
I don't know.
That they have to submit a ticket as they're coming through.
Well, and that's something as a part of the haul road permit, maybe we can mandate that they have to actually track the loads and it has to get audited at the end. I mean, we can do things like
Yeah,
that.
Okay, yeah.
Whether you wanna hire another individual or have someone from the road department, whatever, you
Yeah.
can have someone that goes out there and takes tickets. Maybe you have NextEra take those tickets and then they gotta join, they gotta meet, and then that's gotta match the load haul permit system. So that's gotta, at the bottom,
it's
that's
all
gotta
accounted
match,
for,
you know,
yeah.
and that, there, you can do that. I don't see why you couldn't be able to do that, but
Yeah.
you'd have to designate someone to do it.
Yeah, and follow through.
I don't think it'd be a bad idea at
no, I
all,
don't either.
I don't think.
so,
That's a big deal, that's a big
but
idea.
yeah, sometime more than likely
Bills in there?
after the PSC hearing, if they get approved,
We'll go from there.
we're gonna have some kind of meeting. Russell has to be involved.
Yep, yep,
You know, and then we'll
Or
have
is
to go
this
through the
it?
commissioners, and we're gonna
This
have to
little one
approve
of
a
us.
whole
Is that
road
all?
thing.
yep, all good, okay.
There's a
Good
little
idea is
one
what you
there,
brought in.
that little one's with you.
Here,
Yeah,
give me a
real good.
copy of what you put on there.
I think that's,
I mean, that's a plus.
the quicker we get
Okay,
that
so,
Oh,
done.
yeah.
sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, 'cause we were.
And it is gonna be into these
That's
guys.
just the addition.
Not at all, right, Charlie?
Yeah.
It is gonna be
Conditional
fun.
use projects, the conditional use
Yeah,
projects?
it's the short one. Yeah, I got one of those. I'm sorry,
Please
Marlis.
go back, I think.
I would have never thought this would be the month worth of bills there.
Oh, here, each guy pull one.
But you know what?
Oh, I got paper, you're smoking.
Second,
Yeah.
yes, there's no mails.
Hey Josh. Yeah. Could you do me a favor and make like 5 copies of this?
Yeah.
Just go.
Huh?
Are these all?
They are no sign, no. That's Donna if we don't sign that.
No,
No,
and then these two here, two of these abatement, and then this Jordan Bosch one here. I didn't know if you guys wanted to break for lunch, I thought we'd be done by,
Let's do
I
this.
figured we'd be done soon.
me too.
Well, we had some interesting topics, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
Well, that public hearing this morning went on.
yeah,
Where's this be signed?
On the back side, right? There.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I don't mind just staying there and get it done. Yes.
Just eat a good breakfast before you show up.
Yeah, right.
Well, I made an appointment for 4:30 in Bismarck, thinking I had plenty of time, which I still do, but I was just like, oh man, it's getting closer than I thought.
Yeah, you bet.
There,
Yeah,
Mark.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that's you. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
So I'm gonna be out for 2 weeks after this.
Marla's, yeah, I was just gonna say that, when you going? Friday?
We tried to call this morning, I'm supposed to give me my time, but,
Yeah, they'll call you and
yeah.
they'll
'Cause I
let
missed
you
a call
know.
from them, I didn't want to.
It probably, they, a lot of times don't do that until Thursday, probably.
Oh, I don't know. What they-
Maybe they were gonna do it already, huh?
Maybe they're canceling it, who knows?
No. Usually I know for, when we did it, they called the day before.
Thanks, John. Yep.
Yeah,
These are just my,
oh,
these are
that's
just some of
good.
my suggestions, I just wrote them down when we had that.
I think that was real good, Eric.
Whether or not you use them or not, but that's what.
Thank you.
Yeah, I read through them a couple times, and there's a lot of good stuff, details, but I don't know, you probably can't have too many details sometimes. They're really, anyway, the Dunn County, man, yeah. They, cover it all, you know. I didn't even look over the bill list.
It's small, I got poor Marlis chasing down a bill list, cause I didn't think I had it, cause it's only a half a page instead of a,
And I'm like,
A
I'm
legal
sure I
sheet.
brought them up.
yeah, I'm sorry, that was so bad of me.
It's okay.
If I'd have looked in the box, I'd have seen that the addition was small too, and it was,
That's right.
I'm just like, there's no way that this is gonna be the bills for the month, but,
But it is only the
Apparently-
second, and there's no mailing.
yeah, and apparently we didn't spend that much money this month.
That's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see if we can keep that as a trend.
October will just be bigger, that's all, it's just.
Yeah, exactly.
Year end, I'm sure it's on
Got
the
it?
Pardon me?
end of the year, it's gotta be under the bills.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of them, but
You guys haven't adjourned, did you?
not yet.
Oh, yeah.
Everything else is good? I can adjourn if you want.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll say
Motion by Miller, seconded by Gardner, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Hit the table.
Meeting adjourned.